welcome to QUTV Talk Show. I'm Grant Owen. The QUTV Talk Show is where we talk to significant people within the Quincy community. Today, I have Director of Dining Services, Joe Bordewick. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. One of my first questions is, what goes into planning meals and menus each day?
It's a great question, and the short answer is a lot. Some of the first things are, there's a huge range of needs and preferences that we're trying to take into account. We have a lot of student athletes who are looking to eat healthy, lean and green, but we have just as many students who are looking for comfort classics like chicken nuggets every day, right? We have people who are looking for vegetarian and vegan, people who are avoiding gluten, people who don't eat beef or pork. We have people who want international flavors. And so there's a whole host of things when it comes to that. We also obviously have to factor in cost and the budget that we have. Over the last couple of years, food and labor costs have just skyrocketed. And so there's a lot of pressure and just challenges there. But ultimately, we're trying to take all those things into account, along with the fact that we, have the storage that we have on campus that we have to work with. We have the kitchen equipment that we have to work with. And then we have to order all those different products and manage that whole process. We're different from restaurants in that a restaurant has a set menu and they get those ingredients and they serve those things. Our menu changes every meal, every day. And so not only do we have to train our culinary staff to that, but we also have to order and source all those products. How much of every single thing do we need? Where are we getting it from? Where are we going to put it? What are we going to do when it doesn't show up? So lots of factors.
So then how far in advance do you have to plan that, and when they'll be served? Like what day? How do you do that?
That's a great question. So we actually start the bulk of the planning process for the fall during the summer. We'll spend weeks going through recipes and just trying to figure out the right balance of all those factors I mentioned earlier, and just how can we put together the most perfect menu that we can. And then we do the same thing over winter break, obviously, for the spring semester. And then there's lots of variables that occur throughout the semester, but we start with a really good, solid cycle that we put together, and then we adjust as we go.
And then I've been seeing a lot of signage in the cafeteria. How are you working to improve sustainability or reduce food waste on campus?
Another great question. Obviously, sustainability is a Franciscan principle too, so it's really important. As far as our staff, we use technology in the kitchen to measure and track our waste, and so that's really important. We also try really hard to make sure we don't throw away good, wholesome food, and so if there's ever an opportunity that we can serve something repurposed as a leftover alongside maybe what the regular menu is, we'll do that. Otherwise, if it's more appropriate, we'll take leftover food to Horizons in Quincy or even to St. Clair's pantry on campus. So that's important. The other piece to that, though, is just trying to educate students on things like food waste and how student food waste affects them. And student food waste affects everybody, whether they realize it or not. The most obvious effects might be rising costs and things like that. But, if we wasted less food, there'd be more money in the food budget for better ingredients, for example. There's also environmental impacts and things of that nature, and just the habits that we all are building that are going to impact us for a whole life. If we learn how to be less wasteful, that's going to be a big benefit.
And then one thing I've been wondering is, how do you take student feedback into account when you create menus?
Another great question. So first, there's lots of opportunities and lots of ways students can give feedback. We do student surveys from time to time. We have a Happy or Not kiosk where students can give sort of instant feedback. We have online feedback opportunities, in-person feedback opportunities. But one example recently that I can think of, I had a women's soccer player from QU reach out to me. And I think the key, number one, she was really smart. But number two, she was really respectful and really constructive. But she had some ideas on how she thought we could do a better job of making sure that there were good, healthy meals at every meal service. And so we sat down, we discussed those things. We put some changes and plans together. We shared those with her. She gave us the thumbs up. And she was right. We could do a better job. And we did make changes based on that. So that's one example.
Quincy has a very strong international student presence. How does that impact the menus, and how do you please Americans and internationals?
Again, it goes back to what we talked about from the very beginning. There's lots of needs and wants and preferences, and that's one of the reasons why we have to serve such a wide variety of things. Our goal will never be that every single student loves every single thing that we serve. That's crazy. But our goal is absolutely that everybody should be able to come and find something that they like every day, every meal that they come. We certainly have started serving more and more international cuisine on our cycle menu. Students have noticed that. Some of that, students have been a little slow to catch on with, but some of it, one of our new menu favorites this year has been the Indian butter chicken that we've been serving, and for good reason. It's delicious. I've had it. But we also do some international street food festivals and things like that throughout the year, and they've become very, very popular. And it's really neat to see those students be able to share that part of their culture with their American friends, and you can see the pride that they have in that and the joy they get from it. So it's great. We enjoy that.
You mentioned the Indian butter chicken, how it's a growing favorite. What is the other popular menu items or meals that go for students right now?
Good question. And this is interesting because when we do surveys, we get hundreds of responses of what students' favorite foods are, which sometimes is surprising. Sometimes it's like, really? Your favorite food is beef stroganoff? Okay. But there clearly are some favorites, and some of those favorites are orange chicken, General Tso's chicken, spicy chicken. Are you seeing a theme here? Chicken is one of the, butter chicken, smoothies, burgers, things like that. Also, our new rice station and spice station has been popular so far this year too.
Is there anything else you would like the students to know about campus dining coming up soon?
Yeah, obviously we only have 5-6 weeks left for the semester, but we want students to continue to give us that constructive, respectful feedback. We want feedback all the time. We always want to get better. Any feedback that we get right now, we're going to consider, obviously, as we start planning over the summer to make those fall menus. So we definitely want students to continue to do that. We also just want to remind students that we really do care about them. We really do care about their experience here. We work really hard at what we do, and it would be terrible for us to work as hard as we do and then not have students be happy with our work. So it's really important to us. So don't ever be afraid to reach out.
That is all I have for you today. Thank you for joining me and taking time out of your busy schedule, I'm sure. For more, tune into QUmedia.net and our social media platforms such as Facebook and Instagram. Have a great day.